Hi, my name is Eric Camden. Welcome to another edition of 3D Dink tutorials for Animation Master. We're going to do a quick and dirty mechanical modeling exercise, a slotted screw head. Let's open up a new model, double click on Objects. There's a new modeling window right here. Go to Tools, Options, make sure lathe cross sections is set to 8, which it is. Now let's hit the keyboard A to add a spline. There we go. We have the show manipulator properties on, which really we don't want right now, so we'll take that off. Now let's hit the L key to lathe this spline. There we go. Select a spline, hit the T key to turn and see what we have. That's exactly what we want, but we don't need the top spline, so hit the keyboard 2, front view, select the top spline and delete it. Now let's hit the 5 key for the top view. There we go. Now what we want to do is we want to put a spline right down the middle. So hit the key A for adding a spline and add it right down the middle. Okay. What we want to do next is we want to copy the whole thing and press Control C to copy and Control V to paste. Nothing has changed, but there is another instance of this model on the modeling window now, and I can prove that to you by moving this. And see, there it is. Let's hit Control Z to bring that back in line. Control Z. There we go. We want to lock that, so hit the Lock CPs button. Basically what we did is we set up a guide here. If we mess up the model that we're working with in whatever way, let's say that's messed up, we still have the guide to bring it either back in line, or we can copy a whole fresh one if we unlocked it, copied it, and pasted it again. In this particular instance, just hit Control Z as in zebra and it'll jump right back. There we go. So now what we want to do is we want to copy the left side, hit Control C, and we want to paste it, Control V. We only want it one side because we're going to nudge this over to the left to make the slot. And therefore we don't need the original one, so we're going to select it, hit the forward tilt button to select the rest of it, move it, make sure you have everything, and now delete it. Hit delete. There we go. So we still have the guide, and we still have half of our model here. Now let's select this spline and move it over, nudge it over enough to make the slot, or at least half the slot, because the other half is going to be over here. So notice two things. One, the control points are now moved over and they're a little bit up. So what we want to do is we want to scale them down and bring them back in line with our guide right there. The other thing you'll notice is that the bias is now a little off. So what we're going to do is we're going to correct that. Oh, by the way, this bias handle right here, it only shows when you have the show bias handles enabled, which I always do. Alright, so we'll manipulate that so you're pretty much back in line, which looks good. You see this one's a little off now. We can click here and just bring that in line just a little bit. That moved that one a little bit. Sometimes you have to fidget a little bit with it, but it really makes a difference in the finished model. This is what makes really smooth modeling, not just in this kind of a view, but anytime you have compound models, the bias is just wonderful to work with, and it really helps to smooth out the models. There we go. That's beautiful right there. Alright, so now what we want to do is we want to select that and we want to copy it and we want to flip it and have it appear on the other side here. Select it, okay, hit Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Now we want to show the manipulator properties again, so click that. Now you want to hit the N key, or you could go up here to the translate mode, either one, translate mode here or N key. I always use the shortcut N. That'll show you the pivot values. The pivot, the X pivot right now is at negative 1.71. I want it at 0. So select that, enter 0, click in here, flip, X axis, beautiful, it's right there. Let's turn that off, show manipulators, deselect. Now what we're going to do is, since we have these two halves, we want to connect them to make a channel here in the middle for the screwdriver slot. So click A to add a spline, hold down the Shift key and add. holding down the shift key while adding splines gives you two separate connected splines instead of one continuous spline. And that's what we want in this case, because we're going to delete these splines a little bit later on. Makes it easier. Now what we want to do is select the whole thing, alright, besides the guide, and we're going to extrude it. Hit the number 2 key to have a front view. There we go. Now hit the E key to extrude and bring it down. There we go. Now give that a little bit of a taper by hitting the scale buttons right there, and hit T to turn it. Okay, so we have the geometry. We don't have connections here and here, so this is going to be open. Watch, when I hit the shaded view, it's open, you see? So if we put a spline in between these 2 points, then that's going to close up. Same thing over here. So let's add a spline. Hit the shift key when you add them. There we go. Same thing. Add, shift, add. Okay, perfect. Now we want to have this a slot, so we need to get rid of the spline in here on the top portion. So select that spline right there. Hit delete. Select that spline right there. Hit delete. And now let's get rid of the guide, because we're pretty much through with the guide. So unlock the guide, select, and hit the front / key. That'll select the rest of the guide, and delete. Delete that. Now let's hit the shaded button, and there you have a circle with a slot in it. Now I wouldn't call this a great representation of a screw, but it is a very nice exercise in mechanical modeling. So there you have it. Until next time, this is Eric Camden for 3D Dink Tutorials.